guys, it's Melissa with Under the Radar, and I'm here today with Kendric Jones. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for bringing me here.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Kendric is, or what would you say, you were or are still the youngest?
I was at one point.
The youngest city council member in Waller, right?
Well, yeah, in Waller, and then one of my line brothers wound up getting elected the following year, who was younger than me. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, like I say, I always start my interviews asking you three words that describe yourself. So, what would be 3 words that describe who you are?
I'll say servant, ambitious, and helpful.
Okay, servant, ambitious, and helpful. And of those 3, which would you say is the most dominant that got you where you are today, or most important of those 3?
I would have to. I have to pick one. I can't like.
Or you can figure how they are.
All right, cool. I think servant, and as well as ambition, because of course you have to have the ambition to get to where you're trying to get to knock out all the obstacles, the naysayers, and then servant. I think that was something I was like born with. I always like told my mom that I think I was put on like this earth to be a servant, to help people, to try to like be the change in which I want to see.
Okay. And so, how was your time on the city council?
So still sitting on city council now. Just actually won re-election. Okay. But my first term was very interesting. Okay. I guess that's a nice word, a very loose word to use, because it was a lot of growing pains. Going through the first year, I was also still a student throughout.
Where were you a student?
I went to school at the Prairie University. Of course, you gotta emphasize the. But when I was still in school, I was also SGA president. So I had the duty of serving the campus as well as the city. And before I got into the city, I thought that they were more similar than different. When I got into the city, I realized that they was less similar and more different. But going through the growing pains, finding who I was myself, still as a young black man, and realizing that like while it is something good that I wanted to do, not everyone viewed it as like, oh, it's such a good thing to have a 21-year-old on our city council. One, because I guess some people feel like you haven't gone through enough or lived enough, and then as well as like you've been a taxpayer owning property, all of those things, which is not to my fault. I mean, you live long enough, that's everyone's goal to eventually have. And then the fact that I didn't actually grow up and was born in Prairie, the fact that some people felt afraid that I might come in and then turn around and leave. So you make laws and then you turn around and leave, and now they're stuck with them. But I say I've been able to gain some of their trust by running for re-election, and then showing that like, yeah, I'm trying to make a difference and I'm trying to help as best as I can.
What laws did you help with? Any laws that are now in place?
We changed some ordinances. So as my job is to always do policy, help when I can. Worked on some initiatives with bike lanes. Sandra Bland, we just approved for Sandra Bland to have a historical landmark to talk about police brutality and mental health and all those things. Helping out with street lights, updating streets, beautifying the city, and then writing several ordinances for public citizens to be able to have their comments heard, as well as being a part of different committees. Before I became a city council, it was just like, if you want to sit on city council and not do anything for 2 years,
that was possible.
That was possible. But now we had a game plan that I was able to be a part of, to be able to sit there and have different city councilmen sit a part of different committees, be over the different committees, so that way when the work is being done, we can all be transparent and work together. So I've been able to, I guess I haven't made as many strides as I would like, but to be able to see the progress is a good thing. Yeah.
And do you think you chose Waller over Houston, because you're from Houston, right? You chose Waller because that's where you had spent the most time, Or
So I say that I chose Waller County and to sit on the city of Prairie City Council because when I went, born and raised in Houston, originally from South Park, like, yeah, that seeing my community was like, I want to eventually come back and change this place, but, or help. But when I went to Prairie, it allowed me to find out who Kendric Jones actually was. Being out of my mom's house for the first time, being able to grow into a man, seeing everyone pouring to me. I always push people towards HBCUs, especially if you are Black African American, because they nurture you.
Right.
They pour into you. They see what you need
Right.
and try to help you out. So that way, by the time you leave there, I say our HBCUs have everything to offer. So by the time you leave there, you know how to overcome adversity. You know how to stay up all night and party and wake up and go to work. And you do it while you're in college. So when I chose Prairie, actually the opportunity had came up for me to run for the seat because we've been dealing with an abundance of different voting issues and things of that such. It was like, hey, Kendric, have you ever thought about it? So I thought about running for city council, but I'm thinking like, yeah, when I'm 30, 40, somewhere down the line, not now.
not 21.
Yeah. And so when the opportunity presented itself, I was like, you know, God, if this is for me, cool. If not, like, cool. I'll still be able to learn and grow as an SGA president to help me out later on down the line. And I was blessed to be the 17-year incumbent. So I guess it was for me, but it allowed me to see Prairie has invested, I call it my second home. It has invested so much into me. And so before I come back to Houston at any moment, I'd like to see the work there, at least the plan put in place.
And just to segue a little bit, because you made the comment about HBCUs, and I feel like that under the radar, that's a common theme. Like we have this debate about HBCUs versus PWIs. So why do you touched a little bit on it, but I feel like, because I went to Howard, so I already know all you said, like how HBCUs nurture us, but you find yourself, I'm sure, same with me, in debates with people, Black people who went to PWIs that are saying, no, it's not the same, or, you know, how do I say it?
It's like not as diverse.
Right.
That's not how the,
That's not
what
the
I
real
hear,
world.
that's not the real world.
Not the real world.
So I felt that way at 18. We, at two different times, but went to the same high school. It was predominantly white.
Right.
One of the best schools in HISD. Shout out to Lamar.
LHS.
But, yeah. So while at Lamar, of course, so I went to diverse, well, I wouldn't even say diverse, because
You feel like sometimes.
it's
It
like,
was
yeah, it's some of us there, but it's not predominantly like a school for us.
Right.
So me being a magnet student, my mom always got the chance to like pick and choose which high schools, middle schools, elementary schools I go to. And so when it was time for me to go to college, I was like, HBCU, I wasn't
Thinking
interested in. I didn't like too much care. I was like, no, didn't want to go to school. It's too many of us. Nah, I'm all right with that. So I actually wanted to go to a PWI, but I didn't get enough financial aid money. So my mom was like, one of her friends was like, you need to check out PV. So I never went on a visit, never did anything at Prairie. My first day at Prairie was the day I moved in.
Right. So you never heard? Had you heard of PV?
Yeah, I heard of PV before. My mom went to Texas Southern.
Okay.
So I was just like, cool, like I go to PV. Before that, it was very few things you heard positive, even that you hear about our HBCUs. You always hear the negatives. And so when I went to school there, and I realized that to me, your skin color doesn't like mean diversity just because you have a lot of different skin colors.
Right.
Because at Prairie, you have everything.
Right. And that at Howard too.
And we just all so happen to be the same skin color, but the way we move is so different.
Right.
And so when I start seeing now, it's like, you know, we actually are diverse. It's just in our own way. And so when you go to a PWI, my friends have said all the time that, like, you might find a professor here and there that like see you and like, hey, let me help out a little bit. But besides that, you're just another number. You're just there to that degree. And actually, I think it's a thing that when people graduate, they're not as invested into that university,
Right.
because that university didn't really pour into them, didn't really help them. You was there to study, get your education, and you go on. I'll say our HBCUs that, you know, some of us come from a lot of different broken backgrounds, which a lot of us do. And so I think that it's key and important for us to go to a HBCU so that way we could put those pieces to the puzzle together and become whole.
Right.
And then after that, like, it's cool. Hey, venture out.
Right.
Like, I want to go to Texas A&M and get my master's degree because now I feel whole. I know who I am as a black male. I know who I am as a person and all those kind of different things.
You can maneuver their system a little better.
But when you come from a broken background and then you go to a PWI, you want to me, I see and have peers that are still broken in areas because they didn't take time, or people didn't take time to like pour into them so they could try and succeed and fail at different things, rather than you feel the pressure of like, hey, I have to do this, I have to do that so that way I can graduate. At Prairie, I was able to fail my first semester, like literally went home with a 0.7 GPA.
And they didn't put you out.
Didn't put me out, invested into me, came back every semester after that. I made the dean's list, and now I'm able to go into different rooms. My first job after college was in agriculture. It's not a lot of minorities in agriculture.
Right.
I felt comfortable because I knew who I was. I knew that I learned the same information that the person across from me did. So it's like, it gave me that confidence, that boosted where I could go into any room and be able to talk the same language as them.
Right.
Because
you know who you are.
Yeah.
And picking on something else, you keep bringing up your mom, which I feel you would say is a very, you know, she's the capstone, so to speak, in your life. And that's how, I think I've shared this with you, but the first time I ever saw you was at St. John's, and it was Easter Sunday, and you did the speech. What were you, the seventh day?
Yeah,
So the last person.
Yeah.
And so speak on a little bit of your mom and how important that was, that experience you saw her grinding, going to school, and how that plays with the person you are today.
So shout out to my moms. Just to share a little bit, I guess, story about us. I never had the opportunity to meet my dad. So when I came into this world, I was by the hip. My mom has made plenty of sacrifices for me to be at this point and where I am today. And I give her full credit for that. My mom is also as strong like a lot of black women are. I never realized that we were struggling or that we had less than what we had until I got to a point where I was in high school, my senior year of high school and college. She plays a major impact in my ambition and my drive because mom could get knocked down 30 times and get up the 31st time, and you'll never be able to know that she got knocked down. Or wake up one day, one day may be horrible, the next day she bounced back. And, you know, we live by never get too hot, never get too low. Any day is never the same. And I remember, like, when playing sports, my mama always told me, hey, baby, it's time to eat. And so that basically, to me, to us, that means it's time to grind. Like, every day I wake up, I remember, like, hey, it's time to eat. And so my mom playing a major role and impact upon my life is just seeing that drive, seeing that ambition, seeing her overcome adversity. It's like anything that's thrown my way, how dare I like not be able to overcome when this lady has basically like made a way when there wasn't a way. Of course, thanks to God, but my mom has been there time after time after time. And
hopefully you don't feel like you lack anything for not meeting your father.
Nah, my mom did. I mean, of course my mom put me in different situations, avenues to where I could be around males and have mentors. Mentors, I think, are also key in anyone's life because, you know, we don't always feel comfortable enough to like talk to our parents, but I do. My mom's like my best friend. But outside of that, I had mentors. I was playing football since the age of 3. I was in basketball. I played quarterback. Yeah. I was small with a big head, but it was cool. I grew into myself. But my mom has always like made sure that I was well-rounded. So she would put me in top teams, Boy Scouts, different things to where I could be exposed and never feel like I was lacking anything. So my mom has like, I'm like, I thought we couldn't do this, and she found a way for us to do it. Yeah, shout out to moms. We actually are writing a daily devotional book right now called The Mind, Body, and Soul, using quotes, phrases, and sayings to be able to like inspire people to eat, to grind every day. So.
Do you use that term a lot in the book? It's time to eat.
Yeah, actually at the end of each page, it says eat.
And when will we be able to?
Next month, actually. Next month. Working on some finishing of some touches, but by next month the book should be out.
Okay. And as of recently, I saw you went into Lawson Middle School and you spoke to.
Yeah, I did.
How was that experience?
That experience was pretty cool. I've always like, me and my mom was talking about like how I always said like I wanted to be able to give back.
That's serving.
And so it was actually a great opportunity because I got a chance to talk about agriculture from a different site. So I never wanted to be in agriculture at all. Wound up meeting some mentors that exposed me to agriculture. I was so ignorant and where I come from to think that agriculture was just a farmer. And I was like, man, I dress too nice. I want to have a nice car, all this. I don't want to be out in the sun.
In the dirt.
Yeah, and so one of my mentors actually told me at Prairie to like go look up all the jobs you can get in agriculture. And I found out that agriculture was everything. So anytime that I could speak to any audience, but especially minority audience, it's like going to agriculture. And you know,
like what's a job in agriculture that you didn't know?
I didn't know you could work at a bank.
In agriculture?
Yeah.
For what purposes? Or what?
So ag economics, it teaches you everything about like the stock market, everything. So you could be a bank teller at a bank. I'm like, what does agriculture have anything to do with a bank? Because you learn commodities.
Oh,
yep.
Okay.
And so like that, or shoes, because the cotton, the material, everything is basically comes from some type of animal, something out there dealing with agriculture to be processed to be able to bring you that material. Clothes, food, of course food, you know. So I know some people, like now that I had an opportunity to be in agriculture, you hear like, you'll be in a room and most people won't say they're from Houston. Like they'll be from these rural places. Okay. And so when you say Houston, it'll be like, oh, so you don't believe that food just comes out the grocery store? Like that's like that's just a joke because like we don't actually see
where it comes and how it gets to the market.
Yeah. And so I was blessed with the opportunity to speak at Lawson about like just different agriculture opportunities, but as well as like leadership and being college readiness. And so it's kind of cool to see how receptive the kids were and how. What grade was it? It was actually 6th grade. Okay. And so teaching them about farming, of course, because that's like the fun part, that's the hands-on part. But then also how outside of farming, like you could basically be a part of agriculture and the different jobs. Agriculture probably has more jobs to offer than the amount of people that study agriculture.
Do you have any regrets about not going into agriculture, or? Yeah,
when I was, well, now I still am involved in agriculture. My first job out of college was with Corteva, working on agriculture policy. So that's the part that I like, to be able to see the impacts. And so, and I also sit on the board of agriculture at Prairie. Which was
at the right and tender age of what? How old are you?
I'm 23. Yeah,
I'm on the board.
Yeah, I was blessed with the opportunity to be offered to sit on the board. Even the ignorance, then I was like, look, you know, I don't really have money to, you know, most people that sit on boards, you think I have money, but it was the influence and knowing the knowledge that I have about agriculture and policy, and also how we could help our college of agriculture grow at Prairie. And so we just
learning,
just learning, trying to figure out how to work out different avenues. But speaking to the kids at Lawson was a great opportunity. It was fun.
You'll do it again?
Yeah, I'd do it any time, any opportunity that I have to basically speak about agriculture, because my biggest, one thing me and my mom does talk about, it's like, I wish I was like in 4-H or FFA.
Oh.
Like, you know how much money kids winning off?
Yeah.
Like, I was sitting next to a man that last year in the Houston rodeo for a chicken, like won like thousands of dollars for a chicken. And now that's scholarship money. So
we do need to know about agriculture because there's lots of money.
Yeah.
You go to the rodeo, you see them kids trying to get them calves in that square. Like how much money? I don't know how much.
They win some money.
Yeah, I know
like
they
thousands
do.
of dollars
Yeah.
to do that.
I mean,
so it's like you want to go tackle somebody, you go out there and catch that sheep.
Right. And I want to say at Worthen, the teacher or one of the teachers that's on within agriculture, he uses that same analogy. Like you get on the field, just do the same. Just get some real money. So
and you get that money winds up like helping you later on in life. So that's one thing me and my mom always jokes about. So I say this today. At any point I have a kid, the first thing they join is FFA and 4-H.
4-H. What's 4-H?
So 4-H is dealing with the counties,
Okay.
and so they put it in schools to be able to teach agriculture to
So it's like
younger
a
students.
curriculum. Okay. What's this Against All Odds? What is that?
So Against All Odds and Changing the Statistic is a book that I wrote that it's done, but I want to release the daily devotional with me and my mom first, and be able to just be able to talk more and allow people to see it. So to me, you label a statistic in the third grade,
Right.
and my mom always said this right when I got to the third grade. So you label a statistic in the third grade, and I'm not sure they still do it now, but when I was in the third grade, and definitely when you was in the third grade, how they would go about it is basically they would know how many jails to build ratio to how many schools to build. And so at that point in time, as a young African male, you're labeled a statistic. But you keep getting in trouble, keep getting written up, all those reports, it's like, hey, we need to have bigger jails. And so I used Against All Odds, Changing the Statistic, is basically that any trials and tribulations that you go through in life, you can change that statistic. It's always a different narrative to any story. You control how you want that story to end. I mean, a lot of people have, like Michael Jordan. He's one of the best basketball players to ever play the game of basketball.
Nobody thought he could
Didn't make his own high school basketball team. And wound up, he used it to I use a term in the book, adding fuel to the fire. So when you keep throwing logs into the fire keeps getting wilder and wilder. But that negative, the fire expands upon it because it's getting wild now. It's fueling up.
Right.
And so for us as people, when a negative situation happens or when adversity is faced, don't let
Consume you. I like that. Against All Odds. So first we'll get the devotional, and then when you feel comfortable, we'll get the Against All Odds.
Probably in 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
We gotta wait 2 years.
Yeah.
I guess we can wait.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Jones, I appreciate you sitting with me today.
No
Anything
problem.
else besides the books? What else should we be looking or expecting from you?
Besides that, I'm really just I started with a group of friends and some students at Prairie, a race to 4K, which is basically getting 4,000 students registered to vote before the primary election for our president of the United States. Also just working in the community, just trying to help as much as I can to see basically be the change in which I would like to see, and just push people to basically follow their goals. Even if you have a job, that job is not your
Right.
At one point in time, you had goals, you had ambition to do something different. Don't be afraid to, Shelby always uses a term, which is my best friend, to jump off the porch.
Right.
So basically, when you jump out the porch, there's so much out there. But
If you don't get off it, don't be a stoop kid. Everybody seen the Hey Arnold. You seen that? Are you old enough to know Hey Arnold?
Hey. Yes, I am. But yeah, so for any guys that get the opportunity to watch this, don't be afraid to jump off the porch and do what you love to do. So.